Okay, today is December the 17th, Sunday evening, about an hour before the weekly open. Let's do the market outlook and plans for the week ahead. So let's go ahead and start off with the news events, which are going to keep short and sweet this week. There are no major news events to worry about this week. The only thing that we should keep on our radar is the holidays coming up. So the expectation, as we've been stressing in the group, is that volatility and activity will dry up over the next 2 to 3 weeks. And it's really important that you are focused up as we get into the first couple weeks of 2024. So first week or two of January, you're going to really want to be focused up and ready to go, because I do expect that the volatility will come back in a big way. That's something that we've been stressing a lot in the group recently. So without further ado, let's get into some Bitcoin talk. So let's go ahead and start off with the higher time frame. So to keep it short and sweet, where we've been at currently is we're developing value between a 2022 and a 2021 level. So we've been bullish all year long. The strength of the trend has been a little bit surprising, especially as we got into Q4. Really strong move from bulls. So ultimately, the higher time frame expectation is that we should see upwards continuation, but there's a few different things to be prepared for. So where we're at right now is we're building value between the 2022 macro composite low from over here and then the 2021 yearly VWAP. So that's the expected range, is roughly 44 down to 38K. The immediate range that we talked about was 40K to 44K. But I do think that eventually the 38K region will be tested. So essentially, the expectation is that we're going to range between these two key regions and build up a value. From there, the expectation is that, or rather I shouldn't word it as expectation, but the two scenarios are once, momentum is lost and this range really gets built out. From there, we're going to be looking for the next expansion move, right? So the next two expansion moves that make sense to me are either A, acceptance over 45K, which takes us up to 54K, or we lose 38K and we trade down into the 32K region. These are the two obvious scenarios. If I had to guess, my gut's definitely telling me that we trade down, but upwards momentum has been really strong, so there's always the possibility that we break to the upside. Moving forward from there, I really want to, as I've stressed a lot recently on all the different streams and stuff, is that if we do get a move down into this region, I'm going to call the support from 32K all the way down to 29K. If we get a move down into this region, this is the major macro dip buying support region. I don't want to zoom back in the chart, but we've talked about this example, how this is very similar to the 10K flip in 2020, how 10K was major resistance and then it eventually was smacked through and then eventually retested. That is still the vibe moving forward. So I think that the way that this ended up playing out, where we ended up making a extra leg higher, is really great for shaking people out from this thesis of buying this macro dip buying zone. Combination of price trading up higher than expected and all the time that it's going to take to get back there is going to really make it difficult for people to have confidence to buy this zone. So especially, something that I've been thinking about is the scenario where we, continue to build up value up in this region, and when we do lose this, have kind of like a violent, really strong puke. If we were to see like a, major 10% down move into this region, I think that people would be really scared to buy it. So that remains my core higher time frame plan, is that I really want to buy the dip whenever it comes. Until then, I'm gonna lean into continuation and try to keep juicing out, squeezing out the juice out of this current bull regime that we're in. So yeah, there really isn't too much to cover right on higher time frame. We're more or less just patiently waiting for things to play out. For more information, check out the Paragon group with the link below, where I cover everything from how I trade to how you can develop your own style. Let's go ahead and drop it down into the lower time frame stuff. I'm going to skip over the VWAP scan just because nothing's changed from Friday's stream, so we're just going to jump straight into medium time frame and skip over that to keep this video a little bit shorter. So as far as I'm concerned, this is what I'm working with right now on medium time frame. Currently, the expectation is that as long as we trade below 43K, I'm going to be conservative. So what I do think is probably likely to happen is that we're going to lose this 41.5 support. This old composite low. I think that that this will probably get lost at the beginning of the week, and that we should make our way down towards 38K. If, however, we don't lose this and we find support here, then the bulls should be able to bounce it towards local supply. And if bulls are able to get it over 43K, then that is a reason to shift back to being bullish with the expectation of making fresh local highs within the bull trend. So again, I do think that we're probably pretty likely to end up trading down this week. But you know, I'm keeping both scenarios in the back of my mind, just because I don't want to be, if we do end up having some bullish reclaims and seeing bulls come back, I don't want to be late to that. But bear in mind the time of the year. I think that the bullish scenario is pretty unlikely. Most likely what happens is either just sideways chop, which we could just chop it up and build a nice tight value around this 42K region, or we just lose it and trade down to 38K, excuse me. But like we had talked about in all the recent outlooks, the lower 40s is pretty strong support right now. So this will give bears a little bit of trouble to successfully get through. That is going to be it for Bitcoin. Let's go ahead and get into some altcoin talk here. So altcoins have been absolutely insane recently. Just the opportunity that's been popping up. I hope that you guys are enjoying this as much as I am. So let's go ahead and run through some stuff here. We're going to keep this short and sweet. So Beam continues to be one that I'm keeping a close eye on. I've traded this one a little bit here and there. It hasn't been one of my main coins that I've been trading recently, but yeah, I mean, Beam momentum has been really strong. So I think, you know, this remains one that I want to keep a close eye on. Ordinals has been another one. I traded at Ordinals a lot. Currently, it looks like it's kind of doing one of these things, these kind of meme triangle things. So keep a close eye on this one this week. If this thing starts to break upwards outside of its triangle, you know, it's probably going to be another banger. EDU, another one. I think EDU is pretty, I would categorize it being really under the radar right now. I don't really see this one get talked about very much, but it's been in a very orderly trend for a while now. So continuing to keep a close eye on this one. These are my good scams. Another one, Big Time. I traded Big Time a lot. Not so much last week, but the week prior. Another, you know, basically Big Time and Ordinals, very similar structuring, and they seem to move at similar periods in time. So Big Time looks really good for continuation. It looks like it's just building the triangle. Last couple scam coins. Meme has been a little bit lackadaisical recently, but if it can start to get a little bit more momentum to, you know, and start, you know, kind of reclaiming some of these VWAP structurings, I think that Meme could be a ripper. So even though it looks a little weak right now, I'm keeping a close eye on it. The Say coin looks really similar to Ordinals and Big Time, you know, and Beam and stuff. Maybe not Beam. Beam looks a little stronger. So this one, you know, could probably be a ripper pretty soon. It's either going to, you know, triangle meme from this, or it maybe needs to trade down a little lower before it goes up higher. But yeah, continuing to keep an eye on this one. And the last one is Front. So this worked and it didn't. So I sat in the Front trade for like a week or two, or a week and a half, I think. Probably like close to 7 days to be exact. It ended up working out pretty well, only because I aggressively took profit on it. So conveniently, this thing blasted up. It literally went up like 35% during the Paragon stream on Friday. So I sold 25% right away when I was live streaming, and then right when I turned the stream off, I sold off the last bit of it. So I held on to a tiny bit, and then I closed that out today, which this thing just, yeah, it's unfortunate. I think this is kind of a good lesson when you trade these scam coins that are low liquidity. You know, we had a huge open interest increase, which is what drove this up. I mean, as you can see, right, it went up, you know, 40-something% and really quickly. It did this in the matter of like 30 minutes, maybe less than that. What we had talked about on the stream is you want to pay close attention to what momentum looks like on this thing. And basically once it started to do this kind of structuring where kind of came down and, you know, was pretty weak at the VWAP, right? I mean, it was pretty much over at that point. So luckily I was able to sell the majority of mine. You know, 45 and 48 were my two sells. So pretty lucky that this played out for me. It would have been cooler, obviously, if it had, you know, sustained some momentum and traded up. But I think there's probably a good lesson here that even though I wanted to sell this thing a lot higher, that I just said, you know, fuck it, and took the money. Pretty fortunate for this to watch this thing go up 35% in one day. So sometimes you just got to say fuck it and sell. And something to really think about here with this is what, you know, what is the quality of coin, right? Front is a turbo shit coin. It's illiquid. It doesn't have any of the things going for it to make it into an INJ or something that's just going to keep, you know, expanding from its up move. So anyways, we'll go ahead and digress from there. So the TLDR on shitcoins is, my watch list is very slightly changed from last week. I think most altcoins probably are in the gutters. And if Bitcoin's going to be bleeding down, most of them are going to be pieces of shit. But there are still a select handful of things like Good Scams, Dalai Lamas, and Scams, and even Stronk. These four lists are good coins still. So my trading is probably going to start to slow down. I think this past week was probably my last super active week of the year, so I'm going to slow down. But if I feel like trading, this is going to be what I'm going to be focused on. So that's going to be it for the shitcoins. Good luck out there. If you want to trade these last couple weeks, maybe size it down a little bit, maybe be a tiny bit more risk adverse going into last 2 weeks of the year. Probably good idea. It's also not a bad idea to maybe take a week off and focus on family and mental reset and really getting ready to come back strong at the beginning of January. Because for those of you guys that have been in the group a long time, just like last December, we talked about how it's real boring right now. You want to come back and be real focused for January. And then boom, the market just lifted off, traded from 15 to into the 20s really quickly. And people that were, you know, a lot of people were caught flat-footed and really missed the beginning of the trend. And in the group, we were ready for it. So it's the same. I want to stress the same idea that you really want to be ready for vol to come back at the beginning of 2024. Good luck out there. Cheers, everybody.